Hi, and welcome to the TeraCash e-learning center. My name is Nick, and I'll be guiding you through this lesson today. The following lesson will be on how to create and manage your transaction fee tables. Now let's get started. Before you begin your very first transaction, or periodically, should your organization change, you're going to want to ensure that your fee table is properly set up. The reason for this is because TeraCash automatically calculates the transaction fee for you based on the fee table selected and the check amount. These two values must correspond with an existing fee table and structure in order for it to work. Now the fee table is very robust and thus warrants spending a bit of time going over the various components of it. So let's spend some time covering the key functions. First of all, to access the fee table, you'll need to make sure you're logged in as an administrator if applicable. Then you would click on Tools from the main menu and choose Manage Fees. If you haven't already changed the default values, you'll notice that TeraCash ships with one table consisting of one fee range. The default table with a range of 0 to $100 million at 1%. If the default works for your organization, meaning that you never charge anything except 1% for any transaction, then you need not make any changes. However, if you require a more flexible and robust fee structure, some changes and additions will need to be made. For this demonstration, we're going to create a structured fee table for our organization with a couple of tables and multiple ranges within those tables. Let's begin by first modifying the existing range entry. To do this, simply click on the first range entry and you should see the values appear in the bottom pane. Now let's modify this by changing the ending at value to $500 and leaving the fee at 1%. What this tells TeraCash is that any check from $0 to $500 will be assessed a 1% fee. Thereby, a check for $300 will be charged a $3 fee. To save your changes for an existing item, click on the middle button, which has the picture of a floppy disk. Always remember to click on the Save buttons or your changes may be lost. Now I'll explain the rounding options in just a moment. So now we have a fee range in the default table of $0 to $500 charging 1%, as shown here. Now since sometimes we accept checks that are higher than $500, we'll want to make sure we account for those. For purposes of this demonstration, we will be accepting checks higher than $500, so let's add some new fee ranges for those checks. To add a new fee range, click in the Starting At box and type in the next highest amount including the penny. For example, since we have a range that ends at $500 even, we'd want the next starting amount to be $500 and 1 cent. If you were to disclude the penny, you would have a gap in your fee table, and thereby, for example, any check you received for, say, $500.50 would not have a corresponding fee range to pull from, and hence would result in a $0 fee. Rest assured, however, you will receive a warning for any transaction that's attempted which has a $0 fee. Now let's add our ending at value. Let's say we want this next fee to end at $1,000 even. We would type in 1,000 and hit the tab key. So now we want to assign a fee for this range. Let's say 1.25%. Notice I typed in the percent sign. If you don't, TeraCash will assume that you mean the fee should be $1.25 rather than 1.25% of the check. If you wish to use static fee amounts rather than percentages, simply leave off the percentage sign when entering the fee amount. Finally, we would add it to our list by clicking on the green check mark. Notice that TeraCash automatically fills in the next starting price for you each time you add a new range value. This will save you from having to remember where you last left off. Now let's say that we want to charge 1.5% for any amount over $1,000 but less than or equal to $2,000. We'd do the same thing. And then we'd remember to click on the green check mark to save our changes. Lastly, we want a catch-all for anything that we decide to accept but is greater than our fee structure's range. To do this, in our example, we would add one more range value to our list and set the ending at value to some amount that we know we'll never accept a check for. Let's say $1 million. And then we're going to give it just a flat rate of $75. We're going to add that to our list. This will ensure that we don't accidentally accept a check for an amount that's not covered in our fee table. Now, let's go over creating new fee tables. Why we may wish to create a new fee table could be for a variety of reasons. For example, perhaps we charge a little bit more for tax refund checks, or perhaps a bit less for Social Security checks. Maybe we want to give our employees a better deal for cashing their checks here, or maybe even we want friends and family to be able to cash their check here for free. These are just some of the reasons why you may wish to incorporate multiple tables into your fee structure. TeraCash supports doing this, and here's how. First, we start by creating a new fee table. To do so, simply click into the table box at the top here and begin typing a unique name for your fee table. For example, employees. After that, click down at the starting out box and let's enter $0. In the ending at box, let's put in $500. Now, we were charging 1% for our regular customers, so let's say for our employees we want to charge half of that. We enter in 0.5% and we add it to the list. And just as before, you'd repeat this process until your fee structure is complete for the employees table. To add additional tables, you would repeat the process again, clicking in the table box, typing in a unique name for the table, and adding your fee range values. You can add as many tables as you'd like with the AVX version of TeraCash. However, the Lite version only allows a maximum of 4 tables. Now let's talk about these rounding options. Let's create a new fee table, and we're going to name it Test. Now, this is for demonstration purposes only. We recommend you give your tables meaningful names, of course. For our test table, let's create a range value starting at 0 and ending at $500. Now let's give it a fee of 1%. Now, in the event that we're presented a check where 1% of its face value results in an even fee and payout amount, for example, a $100 check, then the rounding wouldn't really apply. However, and in most cases, if we're presented with a check for, let's say, $395, then our fee would now be $3.95 at this 1% rate. If your organization chooses to only work in whole dollars and not fractions or cents, then that's where this rounding would apply. There's two different values in which you can round, each of which has two different rounding options. We'll discuss these now. In our $395 example, let's say that we always want the fee itself to be a whole number and not a fractional amount. We could accomplish this by selecting to round the fee and choose either up or down. In our example, if we were to select this amount, rounding up would make the fee $4, allowing us to keep the additional nickel. However, rounding down would make the fee $3, allowing our customer to retain the additional 95 cents remaining. Thereby, depending on your selection, the fractional portion of the fee would either be in your favor or the customer's favor. Make sure you note that using this method only rounds the fee portion of the transaction. There will still be cases where the payout will be a fractional number. This would not be the best method for you if you had a cash drawer with no coins in it. If this sounds like you, then we have another option for you. Rounding the payout. Let's say rather than rounding the fee, we want to round the payout so that we never have to worry about keeping coins on hand. We can do this by choosing the round payout option. This is similar to the round fee option, except the favoritism is in reverse, meaning rounding up would be in the customer's favor, and rounding down would be in our favor. By rounding the payout, you are, in a sense, modifying the actual fee. TeraCash must calculate the actual fee required in order to make the payout a whole number. This is known as rolling the fee. It's all done internally, so you don't really have to worry about the terminology, just what to expect. Let's add an additional quarter to our $395 example, making it $395.25. If you were to choose the option to round the fee up, you would have a $4 fee. However, your payout would be $391.25. This is because if you subtract $4 from $395.25, that's your result. However, if you were to round the payout instead and round it down, then your check fee would become $4.25 because your newly adjusted fee would now be 1.07527% rather than 1% even. Your fee would increase in this example, but your payout would be a whole dollar amount of $391 even. This is true whether you choose to round in your favor or the customer's favor. Which way you decide depends entirely on how your organization's structure dictates. But the options are there for your use should you decide to use them. This concludes the lesson on creating and managing your transaction fee tables. Should you have any further questions regarding this topic, please feel free to call our support staff, as they will be very happy to assist you with any additional questions you may have.